What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is, and welcome to a video with your man, Immersioholic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Rise of the Julia campaign for Total War Rome 2, Divide at Impera 1.2.3F. Beta patch was released on December 2nd, and welcome. Thank you all for joining me. I just want to take a few minutes before we jump right on into the campaign to discuss with you guys what this campaign is going to be about, as in this whole series, how I'm going to be presenting it to you, and just the general sort of setup for this campaign, so you guys know what you're in for and know if you actually want to stick around, watch the campaign develop, and enjoy the story that flows with it, or maybe it just isn't your thing. That's absolutely fine. But regardless, I'd rather be upfront with you guys about what's going to happen. So to get this started, this is going to be a summary style Let's Play. I'm sure many of you guys have watched many Let's Plays before, and there's many Let's Players, I guess if you want to call them that have done this style before. I don't pretend to be unique. This is just the way I like producing content, and it's also the way I like watching content, and that is by recording the gameplay and then recording the narration afterwards, so that way a better story is created. It's a little bit more cohesive, a bit clearer to you guys, the viewers, on what's going on and why I've done what I've done, but also it kind of allows me to enjoy it at the same time. So that's what's going to be happening. If that's not your thing, again, no worries, but I just want to be upfront with what's happening. Of course, this will include cutting out many pieces of footage that will either be boring or that I can explain to you guys in half a sentence instead of a 5-minute segment of video, because we want to keep things flowing, right? Now, just to clarify though, this will not be a roleplay Let's Play. I leave that to the professionals. I'm not a role player whatsoever, although I do like to have a roleplay sort of style to my gameplay, but that's it. I'm not a storyteller in that much of a sense, so, and I'll obviously be discussing the gameplay and what's happening as it's going on. It's not going to be like a podcast or anything, don't worry. Moving on, the campaign is going to be played on normal difficulty, as will the battles. Again, I have very many submods for the Divide at Impera Overhaul mod that I'm combining in this playthrough. The vanilla difficulties are pretty much ignored in this. The reason I keep them at that level is to keep everything balanced, and if anything, it's actually harder keeping the campaign difficulty on normal than bumping it up to hard based on the submods I have. I'll give you guys examples as we play, but just a heads up that the difficulty isn't based on the actual difficulty hardwired into the game. It's about what the submods are going to bring to the campaign and what flavor they're going to be adding. That's going to create a lot of challenges for us. And many of you Total War veterans might be surprised by how much trouble can be caused by a lot of these cool immersive changes. But again, I'll be going through all of those as they develop and as we actually get into the game. A few more points I want to add. I'll be trying to make the videos about 20 minutes long for now. It'll be bouncing around that. It might even be a little lower if we have like a dozen or so turns where like nothing's happening at all. Very unlikely, but possible. Any feedback on that is welcome. If you would like them to be a little longer, a little shorter. I kind of feel like they're going to get longer as the series gets longer, as the battles are going to get more and more hectic. But for now, that's the aim. As I said, I'll be using various submods in addition to the Divide at Impera Overhaul mod. However, one main one I guess I should mention right now is the 12 turns per year mod, which means that this is going to be a very slow and methodical campaign, which to me is far more enjoyable. I hate having to rush through a campaign. I'm the type of person who does one campaign at a time, and I take a long time to do it. If I really push it, I might end up doing 2 at the same time in the future, but as of right now, I just want you guys to understand that this will be on 12 turns per year. I'll be playing in general slower, so don't think that this is going to be over by the time we get to like 260 BC or anything. It's not going to be like that at all. We're going to be taking our time and enjoying the game, enjoying every single war that develops, every single piece of drama that comes out, and to me, that allows us to enjoy it even more. But anyway, we've already wasted more than enough time. We're going to jump into the campaign map now. Thank you all for joining me. And yeah, I shall see you on the campaign map. And here we are, Italy, 278 BC, midwinter. I thought I'd keep in this intro screen just to give you guys a bit of an overview. You see Carthage over there, Syracuse. It kind of shows us this angle, despite this being a vanilla Rome thing. In Divided Impera, it actually still plays a pretty big role in showing us where we typically go for. Here is our first objective issued. Now, you'll see that the settlements we're told to hold are actually different. Again, that is part of a sub-mod that I have, which changes the objectives to make them historically accurate, which is pretty cool. Anyway, we'll do a bit of a overhead to give you guys another lowdown. So Carthage in the southwest, us in the middle. We have an army in the south, an army in the center, and our two enemies, the Etruscans up here in the blue, and Epirus in the southeast, or aka the Greeks. They have some minor things around, but at the moment everybody starts with a minor army. You can see my armies there. Even they start with very few units. And right now that's all we're going to worry about. The Etruscans and Epirus. They're our biggest threats. Get our governor starting to help Romanize the Roman province itself, while we get our spy up here to Iridium. Typically the Etruscans need a few turns to start recruiting units, besides mercenaries at least, because they don't actually start off with a barracks. So that's a thing that might be addressed in a future patch, but regardless, first thing to do is grab our first legion headed by Quintus Aemilius Pappus, the head of the Junior family, who will probably be our biggest rival for quite a while. We're taking him up north and we're going to start recruiting units. I'm recruiting 6 total Hastati. As you guys see me recruiting armies, you'll notice I do things in certain patterns. I like things to be rounded off. I don't like having random units in there just for the sake of filling it up. I like having a little bit of roleplay behind it, so you'll see the legions constructed to be fairly uniform. Here I just wanted to show you guys the different prices of buildings and whatnot, and this is to showcase the next biggest mod that we have, which is the alternative economy submod. I'll be linking all the submods down below, but yeah, it'll be there just to just in case you want to check it out. Here I'm choosing what technology I'm going to go with. I basically just start off getting the first chunk of the military out of the way, then after that it mainly goes into the economy, especially with this new economy submod. Here I'm just going through all the new objectives we have. They're really cool. We have so many bonus objectives that give us a detailed description of why they're our objectives as well. Whole paragraphs about it. It's amazing. But in general, this will be a relative sort of goal that we'll be following. But again, no set goals set in stone. And then, of course, in the first turn, we have to address our diplomacy. Massalia being Greek, and the only Greek faction out there in Gaul, they're actually going to be really keen for at least a relationship of some sort. We'll get trade with them. We won't get much more yet. We are Rome, and despite us being a new up-and-coming power, not many nations are going to be willing to trade with us at the moment.
Now speak plainly.
But my main focus is to try and get trade with as many people as I can, especially in the north, for when Carthage comes for us, which they will.
Greetings. Now speak plainly.
Unfortunately, the only people I could get is the Illyrian tribe to the northeast. Everyone else wasn't keen, obviously, besides Massalia. Syracuse is on the verge of declaring war on us. They really hate us for some reason. But we do start a good relations with Carthage. But regardless, we do go to war with them. Usually within the first 50 turns. Definitely first 100. But with that extra money we got from Massalia, I'm going to try and expand the army a little. We have 6 Astati incoming, so I was trying to get 6 Principes, but that didn't work out. Next turn, we're moving forward to the border to just try and recruit more units before we attack Iridium.
Are you ready to serve Rome?
We still don't have too much money, so I'm trying to basically use what I have in the best way possible. So instead of getting a full uniform army, we're going to have 3 Principes, 6 Hastati, and 4 levies, including the Triarii. But that turn was quick, nothing else happened. In this one, though, the Ligurians declare war on the Etruscans, and now this is a big deal. This means that we actually have a common enemy, therefore perhaps they're a bit more willing to start trading with us now, maybe even more. But yeah, we will be doing that right now. As you can see, their little icon turned green, and look at that, they're actually really keen for trade. They're not too keen, they're not going to pay a lot. They're not desperate like Vasali is. Again, this diplomacy makes sense to me. Might not be too realistic, but at the same time, it just makes common sense, in my opinion. But yeah, they don't take anything else, sadly. But oh well. I do check the Venetti and a couple others just to make sure that trade with the others wasn't available, but it wasn't. I'm just seeing if we can get any mercenaries. We can't. And also I'm checking our difficulty level. We are playing on realism mode, but also normal battle difficulty. So realism mode means I can't move the camera around free willy-nilly, which is nice. And here we go. Our first battle already. We're going to be jumping into this. Should be a pretty straightforward battle. Militia, civilians, and a few mercenaries. Despite the power bar being against us, I think we have it. So throw in a quick save, and I'll see you guys on the battlefield. Alright, here we go. Moving in my army to the northern side of the town on top of the hill. Actually, well, kind of half my army. I'm moving my levies in to form up behind my Hastati and Triarii, which will be on the flank, in a bid to stop them from advancing and regrouping with their reinforcements. As you can see, the enemy's coming out of the town in a big, fairly large blob. That's the best way to describe it. Not exactly the most efficient way of attacking me, especially while I'm on a superior position, but oh well. It's the I will do it at once. Here comes our Triarii trickling in behind, and the javelins start doing their work and just absolutely demolish the citizens that came out of the town first, believe it or not. They were the first ones out. They were the most keen to defend their homes, and they got obliterated. I did hold the fire on the javelins because we don't need to be wasting too much ammo on such a low tier unit. As you can see, there's a poor bastard in there who got hit in the back with 3 javelins to his head. Poor bugger. But yeah, there is going to be a little bit of friendly fire, which is kind of annoying. I definitely need to work on my friendly fire work, just to make sure it doesn't happen anymore, which I will in time. But it can be kind of hard to gauge it, especially with such a low tier unit such as levies that are actually fairly inaccurate. Relatively, anyway. The enemy is actually sending their soldiers up against us, but on the backside of the hill, I wanted to show you guys the second line we've formed of my Principes and our general. I'm expecting the enemy reinforcements to come in from the northeast, as they usually do when I do this battle. I've done it many times, as I'm sure many of you have, playing Roman campaigns. But we haven't seen the enemy yet. As you can see in the bottom right corner of the minimap, our line of sight is really short. It's a feature of the latest Divided Impera patch. So we're just sitting there waiting. The enemy is sending up the last of their soldiers against us, including their general, which is actually an Italian sword unit, which will do a little bit of damage. But my troops are kind of just receiving the enemy. We're waiting for them to push up against us because they want to regroup with their reinforcements, right? So we're in the middle, they've got to make it through. They send all of their soldiers against us, and then we charge down and outflank them. This is a devastating tactic. They won't stand very long, and that's pretty much it. We just need to grind them out a little bit here. They do have some slingers in the back, which we'll eventually chase down, though. But here come the reinforcements. Now these are actually all soldiers, not just militia. We have some heavy hoplites in the back that could cause us some issues. Their morale is actually quite high, as is their armor. Here is their general's unit, which is just a cavalry unit like my own. They have a Hastati unit and a Italian mercenary sword unit, which is actually rather strong if used correctly. They kind of blob it up a little bit so it doesn't get to use its full power against my spearmen, but swords against spears always win, typically at least, and they can do some damage. I was just showing you guys here that the battle for the town is pretty much over. We're surrounding the enemy's general. That's all GG. We'll run down their slingers, and that will be that. But this is where the main battle will continue now. I'm sending my own levies, who are currently out of ammunition, onto the flanks to get ready to run down any routing units. And then besides that, we're just waiting on the enemy to charge us. We have no reason to go to them. We release our Pila, aka javelins, against the enemy. I was holding the fire on my units until they were all within, well, at least until the melee units were within range. They do get a few shots off on us, and that's going to pick off a couple of our guys. But then here, you see the general unit charge in, except he stops as he's charging, and that's because I believe he was attacking my general's unit, not the spearman right in front of him. So in this game, if a cavalry unit runs into an enemy unit and doesn't have a charge order, they're going to stop and then engage, which is a bit of a broken feature, but it's just hard-coded in the game. Not a lot modders can do about that. Probably nothing, actually, so too bad, but it's an easy kill for us on the cavalry. Well, it will be eventually. They will run around a little bit, and they'll actually even try to escape, but that's the main thing. We're trying to surround the enemy so we don't let them escape, because it's this army in particular that if it routs and escapes, then we'll have to chase it down. We don't have to do that with the garrison of the town. So as you can see, the enemy's general's trying to escape. The second general, I should say. He runs through our levies, which should be devastating, except he doesn't attack them, so that's good. On the other side of the battle, we are taking out their unit of levies, and my levies will run them down. I'm going to be sending my general to the other flank to make sure 100% their general doesn't escape. As you can see, the enemy general charged into our men, so we're charging into the rear of them, kind of outflanking the flank. We're going to lose a fair bit of levies in this. You can see it's actually wavering there. It's the flashing unit there. The enemy general tries to run away, but this is the point in the battle where their general died, which is a far more devastating blow than losing their garrison general, and their cavalry will rout instantly. Sadly, there's no notification in battle replays, at least from what I can tell. But either way, we're pretty much at the end point of the battle. This battle isn't really about us winning or losing, it's about us trying to lower our casualties, because we have a lot more fighting to do straight after this. As I said, the early game of Rome's campaign, you want to deal with the Etruscans instantly, and then you want to go fight the Greeks. So we're trying to lower that. One way of doing that is getting a nice, solid, sexy charge into the rear of a nice blob of infantry. This charge really sealed the deal. It was absolutely devastating, and they're actually going to lose 2 of their units in this fight. Their mercenaries weren't interested, nor were their Hastati. Now they just have the hoplites there, who are pretty much getting slowed. Now at this point, I'm just about to cut forward a little bit ahead, because the hoplites are stubborn, they have high morale, they like to stay in a fight. So what I do is I pull my Principes apart, and then I send in the Triarii. The Triarii I'll be disbanding after this battle regardless, because they're so expensive and just not very cost effective. Whereas the Principes are by far our most cost effective unit, so I'm trying to save as many men of them as I can. I pull them out, send in the Triarii right here, and then our general coming in with a rear charge will almost certainly decimate the hoplite ranks, and it will save a lot of Principe lives in the process. And with that, that is pretty much the battle done. They're wavering, and then they shatter, and we spend Actually, quite a few minutes running down the enemy. My levies didn't do too much of a great job, but we pretty much got them all, and that's that. And there we have it, a decisive victory of the Romans over the Etruscans. I thought I'd leave in this loading screen just so you guys can see the total number of casualties. As you can see, we just wiped the floor with them. They didn't really stand a chance, not many of the units at all getting much damage in. And we completely wipe out the army that was just outside the city. So it's GG, they're done. We killed their general, so he can't escape. That's it. I made sure to run them all down, as I said, but that's it. And now I'm just showing you guys very quickly the amount of money we can get from doing different things to different cities. Problem is of the penalties we have to suffer. Combining the severe public order penalty with looting, with also the cultural affinity that we'll be getting with a someone that I have installed. It would just be too much, and yeah, it's a lot of money, but right now I just don't have time to deal with that. We need to be heading south. I dismantled Field of Mars there. It's not needed in the province of Rome. Rome itself actually acts as a recruitment center for you, so you do not need to build that. At least you could build a auxiliary unit, but right now we don't need it. Just checking our public order very quickly. Everything seems okay for now. And actually, at the time of checking that, I didn't realize, but my cultural affinity mod wasn't working. I do have it already fixed for the second episode, but the public order decrease will decrease by about an extra 5 or so, give or take. It varies season to season, but yeah, we will be suffering a lot more public order issues. And then we send our spy down to Taurus to see what the Greeks are doing. They don't even have an army there, so I'm looking at our second legion, led by our faction leader, or family leader of the Julia family, Gaius Fabricius Licinius Monocularis. That is a mouthful. We'll just call him Gaius for now. He will take over the first legion when it's time, but for now, we're just moving the first legion south after I upgrade the general up there. Despite him being a rival, we do need him to be a decent general. Sadly, you can't just kill off all your enemies and rule the empire on your own. At least not until you become an empire, right? So a lot of people would probably go for Knight Commander. I prefer to get campaign movement range up as high as I can. To me, that's one of the most important things an army needs. Especially when you're playing as someone like Rome, who needs to respond to so many different threats all at once. So we're going to be trying to recruit more units before we move south. Well, we'll be moving and recruiting at the same time, but right now we don't have action points, hence we're going to get another Principe unit. Besides that, we don't have much else we can do. We don't have much money. Our income's okay, and it will get better, especially once we take Taurus, but in the meantime, that is where we're going to end the first episode. So thank you all for coming in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that first new battle. You got to see the new battle mechanics. And I shall see you guys in the next one.